She was raised in Illinois, right outside of Chicago. Some of the best cooking you ever had. Yes, it was. And I miss her. Now that I have your attention, R. Kelly claims he's written 25 albums 3 years into a 30-year sentence for sex trafficking and racketeering. The disgraced R&B singer called into the MAT podcast this week. Yeah, I only have two things to say on that. One, I believe it because he's had plenty of time to sit around and write songs. You know, because, I mean, what else did he have to do, right? And two, what the hell is MAT? I think by now everybody should know why he's locked up. I think he's a despicable person. Like, this dude is despicable, and he's a piece of for what he did to those women. Even Matthew Knowles knew that R. Kelly was a piece of crap back then. Because you remember when he collaborated with Destiny Child on the Life soundtrack. But back in the day, people just didn't care. Like, if you comb through the 90s and listen to all the hits that R. Kelly wrote, a lot of people thought he was a creative genius. He was constantly putting out hits. And nobody cared. He was making all this good music. And even Matthew Knowles said it. He was just like, man, creative genius trumped all back then. So it really didn't matter if you were a part of the industry or you were just some people on the street. We all knew that R. Kelly liked his women slightly above happy middle age. We all knew. Well, most of us knew. Slightly above happy middle age. And that right there, that's just R. Kelly's favorite sandwich. At least that's what he said in the Gayle King interview. He might get a Big Mac in the near future, but it might not be the Big Mac that he wants. So he never wrote a song for Beyonce as a solo artist, but he did write a song for Destiny Child. Here's the playlist right here. And as you can see, R. Kelly wrote and produced most of the tracks on this album, including the song that he wrote for Destiny Child right up here. So I looked it up online. The release date for this album was March 16th, 1999. So that means around that time, I was 19 years old. So R. Kelly is 58 years old. So that means, I think he was about 32 years old at the time. So that means that LaToya and Latavia were only 18 years old and Beyonce and Kelly were 17 years old. Yeah, Matthew Knowles was like, hey man, he was writing a lot of hits back then. This is just business. But it was no way in hell he was going to leave them alone with R. Kelly in the studio. In fact, I think he brought the girls in, they recorded their vocals and they just left. So it wasn't even like they were all in the studio together. They actually recorded their vocals separately, to my understanding from what I was reading. And I'm not sure how he found out about it, but a few days ago I heard he jumped on the Residuals remix. I'm guessing he still has some people on the outside keeping him up to speed on what's hot in the streets right now. So I'm guessing he made a collect phone call one day and he was like, hey, what's hot in the streets? And his homeboy was probably like, well, you know, Chris Brown has a song on the radio right now called Residuals. It's pretty hot in the streets. Maybe you should do a remix. I'm sure your fans will love it. And R. Kelly was probably like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Let me do that real quick. I don't know if that really happened, but in my head, it happened just like that. I think it's one of those situations where you have to learn to separate the man from the art. Because he wrote a lot of songs for people that we all love. Maya, Destiny Child, Maxwell, Kelly Price, like all these people that we enjoyed our music. And he wrote a lot of hits for like so many artists. It's like, I mean, we're not going to stop listening to them, right? Knowing that he wrote those lyrics, you know what I'm saying? So, I don't know.